Okay, this is what I used to replace my LEDs on my P-51 for the nav lights. I got some heat shrink tubing, electrical tape, or you can use liquid electric tape. It's kind of messy, but it works. X-Acto knife to get the patch out where the lights are at. That's to dig underneath it so it comes out. Your LED, and of course your resistors, 330 watt, quarter ohm. Soldering iron solder. I got helping hands because they come in handy. And to glue it back on, you can either use a rubber cement or contact cement. Okay, this is how I replaced the LED on my P-51. I'm sure there's a better way or a different way. Someone else knows how to do it, but this is the way I did it. Using an X-Acto knife, I scored down this first panel line on the outside and scored down through it. As you can see, there's two lines here, panel lines. It's basically a plug they use to fill the gap when they put the wire in for the LEDs. If you go real careful, you only need probably about 3/16 of the tip to go down in there. And you score along and you'll feel the wires when you get to them. You just go real careful over the top of them, go down the plug lines here, the outside, and I used X-Acto knife, went around the LED here and around here to free that up from the foam. And then I used the LED itself as a guide to run the X-Acto knife in as far as I could till I got up on this side of the wing. And did the same thing on the other side and plunged it down in there real careful. You don't want to work it back and forth because you'll run into the wires otherwise. And then I got a big tweezers I got and use that to plunge down the rest of the way. The X-Acto knife will get you about 3/4 of the way in there. And you can use that to work up the glue. It looked like hot melt they used. And once I had it that far, you just work it up on both sides a little bit and the whole plug just pops right out. And that exposes your burned out LED. They had both leads clamped in some heat shrink tube that I just used again the X-Acto knife to scrape off so I could get I could use a soldering iron and just unsolder the ends of them. Pull the old one out, put the new one in. On the new one, you got to remember that on the LED, they only work one way. Your long lead is your positive lead, and the short lead is a negative lead. So it goes respectively to the red and black wires. I clipped mine off because you don't need that big long lead on them. I took probably half it off. Just don't lose track of which one's positive, because if you get them soldered up and all glued back together and they don't work, that's probably why, because you glued the positive lead to the negative wire. And used some more heat shrink tube after I got them soldered and heat shrinked them. Used a little rubber cement to butter up the plug and put that back in and squished it down. And you hold it, wait till that dries, and there you go. It's all installed, and then all you got to do is change the plug in the inside of the fuselage for the wires to go into your receiver with the resistor on it, and you have now working nav lights. And to hook up your other ends, the free ends that have nothing on them when it comes from out of the box, I just use a servo plug off an extra servo that I had and hook it up to the red and green leads of it, and I cut the white one off. That's the signal lead, and added my 330 ohm quarter watt resistor in between. It really makes no difference what wire you stick it on, just as long as it's in the circuit somewhere before it hits the LEDs from the battery. And I don't know, you can get a whole pack of them from Radio Shack. I think they're like $1.50 or something. You get 5 of them. But that's all you do, and that keeps the current regulated that it won't blow out the LEDs then. So once you put that in there, you just plug it back in your receiver and you're good to go. And there's a number of different LEDs you can get. These I just happen to have laying around. And they got a pretty tight angle of view, so I mean, you get off to the side and they don't show up very well, but from the edges they look alright. And that's how they look once you put your new ones in.